And
Okay, so we're very, very honored to have Rabbi Sorotzkin address us for our monthly get-together. And just want to let you know exactly a little bit who he is. I just can't even believe that he agreed to do this because he's the most busy person that I know in the world, helping the world. And he's a very renowned speaker, Maggid, Rosh Yeshiva. He helps many, many, many people. I'm not saying that you should not call him for advice, but he does give a lot of people advice about a lot of different things. He does a lot of medical referrals and Rosh Yeshiva, and he's pretty much like he's a very, very famous person. So we're very happy that he's giving us a little bit of time to help us in our little organization here with shidduchim. He's made many, many, many shidduchim. Hundreds of people have gone to the chuppah with his guidance. He's very close with a lot of the past gedolim in Eretz Yisroel. He has stories about shidduchim from Rav Shach, from Rav Kanievsky. Anybody who you've heard of, he was in their place discussing the shidduch questions with them. So we're really happy that he could help us a little bit out with our questions. Thank you very much for coming. Over the past 40 years, you had so many experiences. Can you share with us the most fascinating shidduch story that you experienced as a shadchan that you can see clearly how Hashem guides the shidduch from beginning to end?
okay, good to everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Before I start, I would just like to say that in as much that we're going to do something constructive and we're going to say some divrei Torah tonight, I would like to dedicate tonight's session Le'ilu Nishmas, a soldier, which I happen to know his family. His name is Eliyahu Binyamin El Makayem, who is a French boy who came to Eretz Yisroel, and he got engaged in Eretz Yisroel, and his wedding is due to be Sunday night, tomorrow night. 2 weeks ago, he got a tzav miluim to come to serve in Gaza, and he, of course, his family told him, you're getting married, just postpone it. You can get an official exemption from joining the army at this time of your marriage. And he says, Ha'acheichem yetzu lamilchama, and I will stay back and celebrate my marriage. I'm going there. And unfortunately, he was killed last Friday at the war. Tomorrow night, Sunday night, is his chasana date. He will not be there. He will watch from Ginzei Meramim. It's a phenomenal tragedy. But this is what life is all about. And I would like to dedicate Le'ilu Nishmasei and Lezichrei of Eliyahu Binyamin El Makayem, a blessed memory, with a tefillah and a hope that all the soldiers and all the shvuyim should come back home. Uvo l'tzion berino v'simchas olam al reisham. This is an introduction. Now, switching around from Beis Ha'ovel to Beis Hamishte, and coming to your most fascinating question about a fascinating story. There are many, but you ask the question, and what enters my mind is as follows. Some 27 years ago, I had a family. I live in Eretz Yisroel. When I'm in Eretz Yisroel, I live in Kiryat Yearim, Telstone. I had a family who was in a very, very deprived situation. They had 5 children. The father was mentally unstable, and his wife was diagnosed with cancer. 2 of his children were not well, one mentally, one physically. And he was coming to me on a daily basis, calling me, and basically needed my undivided attention, which unfortunately I was not in a position to give him around the clock. So he came to me on a Wednesday, and he comes and he tells me, I would just like to ask for a favor. He was not the only one. During my long history, I may look younger than I am, but I'm not. And he said, I am going to commit suicide tomorrow, and I would like to deposit my 5 children with you after my suicidal. You should look for their well-being, and I'm basically coming to say goodbye to you. I told him, what's the catch? Rav Shach once told me, when somebody comes to threaten that he's going to commit suicide, you know he's not doing it. But I asked him, what's the catch? He says, I need, in order for me to procrastinate this master plan, I need 4 hours of your undivided attention. No phone calls, no shiurim, no stopping over, just me and you. Could you give it to me? I'm willing to postpone. I said, I'll give it to you. It was a summer day. And I said to him, Friday, I don't say shiurim. Friday morning is a long Friday. You come 9 o'clock in the morning after davening. We'll go together to Netanya, to the beach. And
recording in progress.
And we are going to have an hour and a half on the way there, an hour and a half on the way back. We'll sit on the beach for an hour or two. And I hope we can sort it out. Okay, he's all excited. He comes in Friday morning. And we drive to Netanya. To make a long story short, there's nothing to do with the shidduch. We go there, we sit on the yam, we took some beach chairs, we rented, we sat for 2 hours, and he's telling me his life story and why really he wants to commit suicide and this and that. As I'm walking, I said, it's getting late, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we got to go back to Yerushalayim and take some time, and it's Friday afternoon, and we said, let's wrap it up and we'll talk on the way back. And as I'm walking off the beach, there were 2 guys, an elderly guy and a younger guy, playing ping pong, matkota, they call it in Israel, on the beach, with a hard ball. And I'm standing and walking on the side, and all of a sudden, the older man hit the ball in a way that it went, I was pretty much to the side, but it hit me right over the eye. It hit me in such a way I fell on the floor, and I felt like I'm fainting. I saw the stars. My whole face got bruised. This lifesaver came from the matzil. The lifesaver came. He brought some ice, some water. They put it on my thing. And okay, after 10, 15 minutes, so it's, I got a boo-boo and I'm going to go home. It's going to be fine. And the elderly man comes over to me. He tells me, Ata brogaziti. You are brogas with me. You are not, I see you have a kpeda on me. I said, I don't have any kpeda on you. You played ball. It happens. It's fine, I'll be fine, I'll come home, and in 2 days I won't even know that I had it. Lo, ani roeh she'ata brogaziti. Okay? He says, the only way that you could prove to me that you're not, I live here upstairs in Kiryat Sanz, right next to Laniada Hospital. Come to my house, and taseh bracha, I'll give you some mezainis and a cup of coffee, and we'll walk away as friends, and you give a bracha in the house, and then I know. I asked the guy with me. He says, no problem. The guy's giving free cake and coffee. We're going. Okay, we come to the house. We sit down, and I say a vort and this and that. Before I leave the house, he tells me, we talk a few words in the other room. I said, go ahead. Takes me to his room. He bursts out crying. He says, Yeshli bat, me and my wife didn't have children for 9 years. We are Holocaust survivors. We couldn't have children. We had this daughter, Esti. It's a lovely girl. She went to Bais Yaakov. She was mechunach here in Kiryat Sanz in Hasidic atmosphere, but she was a little bit more open-minded girl. And she continued. She went with her studies. She went to Bar Ilan University. She has MA, and she cannot get a shidduch. Amongst the Hasidic Bochrim, she's called modern Orthodox. They don't want to look at her. Among the modern, they say she's Hasidic from Netanya, from Kiryat Sanz. Nishtahin, nishtaher, not here and not there. She cannot get married. You look to me like perhaps in the way you talk and you speak English and she speaks English and she wants an English-speaking guy. Maybe you have an idea for her. I said, bring her across. She was sitting in the other room. She comes out, this Esti, lovely girl, 29 years old. She's talking to me and she's telling me what she's doing, what she's that. And it's 5-10 minutes conversation. She made a very remarkable impression on me. And she said she wants really an American boy. She wants with a Hasidic and neshama, but an open-minded guy that would let her continue with her career and go on and so forth. Maybe you know somebody. I said, to be honest with you, off the cuff, I don't have anyone. But, who knows, maybe one day something will come across. Okay, push fast forward. The guy didn't commit suicide. We got back home. Everything is fine and dandy. A year goes by. I get a phone call on Friday morning from one of my friends who's a Rosh Yeshiva in Yerushalayim. He says, Reb Michoel, I need a favor. I said, what's the favor? He says, I have this guy, Baal Tshuva. He's 31, 32. He comes around to my kolo, this and that. He's going to St. Louis to his chavrusas chasne on Tuesday, and it's Friday morning. Those days, people used to fly from Eretz Yisroel, like, it was 8:30 in the morning, TWA flight going to America, coming in like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But, you're flying, you're coming 7 hours earlier, you still can make it. In the summer, people still used to take that flight. He tells me you're sitting for 3 hours on the plane. There's a mechanical problem. They're not traveling today. They're leaving an hour and 25 minutes after the Zman. If he comes back to Yerushalayim, there's no way you're making it. He has to make the flight. If he's coming to you, I live 20 minutes closer to the airport, he may be able to make his bags are checked in. He has to leave the first 3 stars are out. He has to take a taxi, run to the airport, hopefully to make the flight. Could he come? I said, Gesundheit, hey, there's another few guests, but he could come over. And then to make a long story short, the boy comes over and he made a remarkable impression. I spoke Friday night in one place. He came, he asked the right questions. Shabbos, I have a Novi shiur. He comes to the Novi shiur. He came to the hall. He made a remarkable impression. Then I asked him, what are you looking for? He tells me, it's very hard. I really want to live in Eretz Yisroel, and I'm looking for a girl with a Hasidic neshama, but I can't take a Hasidic girl. Boom, bing. You know what? There is a Esti from a year ago. Maybe she's a shidduch for him. I know nothing about the Esti. I have 0 contact numbers. He tells me, but it's not going to happen now because I'm leaving. He tells me in the Shalashudas, I'm leaving tonight and I'm going to America and I'm staying till after Yom Tovim. And MeHashem, I'll come after Sukkot. If it's Negei, I'll go out. I said to him, I heard once from Rav Shach, when a shidduch comes by, an opportunity comes by, it says in Shulchan Aruch, that even Tisha B'Av after Chatzos, you make a shidduch, you finish up a shidduch, Shema Ekadmenu Acher. So Shach said, Tisha B'Av in the afternoon, everybody is fasting and not in the mood and navelas. And how long do you have to wait? We're not talking about going to the Lakewood freezer for 3 months. We're talking about just being there for 5-6 hours, and you're going to go? No. When the right time comes, you make the ishtadlus. I said, this is a window of opportunities. He tells me, I told him about the girl, the impression she made. He says, I got to leave tonight. I said, you know what? Here's the deal. Give me 5 minutes after the Zman. I'll try to find a girl. If I get you a date tonight, I get you tonight. I guarantee you'll be Tuesday night in St. Louis. Olav al-Tzavari. I had a very good contact. One of the general manager. I'll get you on the plane tomorrow night. Don't worry about it. He said, no. I said, 5 minutes. And I didn't go to Daven Ma'ariv in Shul. I Daven Ma'ariv at home. I waited for the first minute. And I said, where in the world? I don't know the family name. I don't know anything, who, what, who, when, where. But I did know that she lived a block, 3/4 of a block away from Bet Cholim Laniado. I called Bet Cholim Laniado. I called the head nurse. I said, give me one of the girls from the Shirut Leumi that were working in the hospital. Give me one of the girls. I said, אני צריך ממך טובה, זה פיקוח נפש. Okay? You go to the next street. I don't know the name of the street. The 3rd house on the right, on the 4th floor, the right door. I remember there's a blue mashkof. Knock on the door, say, give my number, say SOS, the father should call me. She said, MeHashem. I said, אני לא יודע, הייתי יודע MeHashem, הייתי אומר לך, I don't know the name. Just go there right now. You got 3 minutes to deliver the goods. This is like 2 minutes after the זמן. She says, אני יכולה לשמוע הבדלה, פה יש עושים הבדלה. He said, תעשי הבדלה יותר מאוחר. אני אקח את העבירה עליי. You just go to the 4th floor there, run over. And then she runs over. And this guy tells me, I'm leaving. I'm sorry. It's a very nice try, but I'm leaving. And not only that, the taxi is already honking outside. I went outside. I took 10 shekel to the taxi driver. I said, תחכה 5 דקות. יכול להיות that we're not using your services. I'm going to give you 10 shekel to dismiss you. But just wait 5 more minutes. The phone rings in my house. He says, Harav Sorotzkin, du sie die von letzte Jahr, this is you, you're the guy. I said, yeah. I says, ma kora im Esti? Esti. I said, where is she? She says, she's in Yerushalayim for Shabbat, in Kiryat Moshe by somebody. So you have a number for her? He says, yeah. So you're going to give it to me, but tell me. I said, I don't have the time to talk to you. I'll talk to you later. Just give me the number. He gives me the number, put down the phone. I pick up the call, and on the other line, Esti. I says, Esti, at Harav Sorotzkin, remember me? Sure, I remember you. What are you doing tonight? He says, I came when we going to the Kaisel, going with friends for the pizza shop. I said, I have a date for you. He said, who's the guy? We have to be Mavar. I said, you're not b'mevar. I made my due diligence over Shabbos. I'm telling you, it's good for one date. I'm holding him off, taking him off an airplane that he has to go. Pikuach nefesh. Could you be ready? He says, give me an hour and a half, and I will be ready. I told the guy, I went to the taxi, I paid him the 10 shekel, sent him off, and the guy says, you better get me on the flight tomorrow night. I don't know why I'm doing this. I feel so uncomfortable. You took me so nicely the whole Shabbos. I'll go for it. Anyhow, to make a long story short, they went out. The guy, I told him, call me after, whatever time it is. 3 o'clock in the morning, the phone rings. I just came back. Oh, she's such a marvelous girl. Said that I never in my life made such a girl. This is MeHashem, Yatza, HaDavar, never ever. And then he tells me we made another date for tomorrow, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. My flight is at 12 o'clock at night, so we can chaparine another date. I said, okay, no problem. Just let me know after the date. I can get you on the seat. He goes in the afternoon and he calls me 7 o'clock in the evening. He says, I'm canceling my American trip. I'm staying in Eretz Yisroel. A week and a half later, 2 weeks later, they engaged Chas and Kale. I just participated in a bar mitzvah of their 4th child 2 years ago, right before Corona, 3 years ago. Mazel tov, they're married. I went to Rav Shach. I used to go a lot to the gedolei Yisrael to consult, and I asked him a question. I said like this: if I take one of my friends in the Bureau of Vital Statistics and I ask him, what's the odds? A shidduch is min hashamayim. It's bashert. What's the odds that this Meshuggah is going to come to me, threaten, commit suicide? I'm going to go with him to Netanya. This guy is going to hit the ball in my face. I'm going to get on the floor. He's going to tell me to go to his house. I went to his house. He's all of a sudden giving me a shidduch of a girl I haven't known from nowhere, coming by very bizarre circumstances. A year later, this guy is getting off a plane, getting off a flight on a Friday morning to come to my house. He doesn't know me from Adams. And the whole Shabbos, I fall in love with the guy, love at first sight, and I'm able to track down the girl and make the shidduch. He says, is this what Bashert is all about? Could you please explain the Rosh Yeshiva? I've been there, I've done that, I've been around the bend, I've been in a lot of shidduchim, but this is what it's all about. So Rav Shach told me as follows. He says he heard once from the Mashgiach Rabbi Yerucham from Mir. Rabbi Yerucham Leibovich was one of the greatest Mashgichim in the past century. Thousands of Talmidim came to listen to his pearls of wisdom. He said as follows: Vayegal Hashem es einei Bil'om ve'inei Malach. Bil'om is going, sitting on the Ferd, and the Ferd is not moving. She sees the Malach, Bil'om sees nothing. He says, Vayegal Hashem es einei Bil'om. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes off the cataract called Bil'om from the eye. Ve'inei Malach. The Malachim are always there. The problem is that we have cataracts in our eye and we can't see those malachim. But the malachim are flying around all over the place. He says, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed you was, you think you're a shadchan. He tells me, how many shidduchim did you make? At that time, I made like 70 shidduchim. I said, you think a shidduch, something logistically makes sense. This boy, this girl, check the background. My humble opinion, quote unquote, this is match made in heaven. But every shidduch you should know is a neis min hashamayim. You think with your fleishik seichel that this is what it's all about, but it's not. One time HaKadosh Baruch Hu took off the oik, and you see the malachim, you say the very, very improbable, unheard of circumstances happen, and this is the guy who married this girl. Right now they're going to have children, and all because this Meshuggah took me off his rock to commit suicide, and this TWA plane never took off. See, indeed, it is MeHashem Yatza HaDavar. We are not the Balabatim, and we are never ever going to know what's going to make it. This gave me such a phenomenal chizuk. As I said, I single-handedly made over close to 200 shidduchim, just under 200 shidduchim. Probably another few hundred that came to me with the problems, and I advised them and I escorted. And this Maisa gave me such a different vision, such a different edge, a different perspective as to how to look at shidduchim. You think this makes sense, this doesn't make sense. When the Bashert is shidduch is all about Bashert. I believe in it 100%. And even when a no-brainer happens, it is bashert. And even when the most bizarre and improbable happens, it's also bashert. And when we do ishtadlis, we think, oh, I'm the greatest shadchan on earth. Oh, I could sweet talk. I could do that. It's all merely hishtadlis. We are doing ours in order for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to do his. And the more we mishtadl, it's also, Chazal say, yogoto umotzoso timing. You put in the yagia, you put in the toil, you put in the work, you're sweating. And sometimes it's like, you put so much time into it. And a lot of times, you work on a girl, you work on a boy. You could work on a boy, you read him 40 shidduchim, this guy's never, ever going to get married in his life. It's yogoto, but at the end of the day, the shidduch is going to be matzosa. Matzosa is something you find in the street. You just walk in, it's a mitzvah. All of a sudden, boom, diamond ring in front of you, and you find it. We have to do ours, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu does his. Of course, in our scale of priorities, in our ability to maneuver, we're not going to do something which looks to us, totally outrageous. We're going to work with Seichel HaYosher, we have this, and today we have all this technical support infrastructure which helps us to sift and to narrow the search, and basically this and that and this and that, and we think we are the groise mevinim. We know, that's going to go. It's definitely, we're going to make this Shabbaton, and we're going to make this, and we're going to make this conference, and we're going to get together, and we're going to put them together. It's always MeHashem Yatza HaDavar. A shidduch is a match made in heaven. We have to know it. Many times we think that we are Iber Chachamim, we are super sophisticated, and we are able to deliver the goods. But the truth of the matter, you could come to such stories, which is the improbable and the unbelievable happens, reveals in front of your eyes, and then you see how great. I always tell people, come to me with tzoros, I say, don't tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu how great your tzoros are. Tell your tzoros how great HaKadosh Baruch Hu is. And I'm ready for your next question, Mrs. Harlap. Rebbetzins Harlap, I'm sorry if I...
Okay, thank you. I wanted to know if you have an opinion about when it is a good idea to get somebody else involved in the shidduch that you're in the middle of doing. If it could be helpful, if it's not helpful, when it is helpful. And I know that you've gone to big gedolei in the middle of a shidduch.
It's an excellent shidduch, excellent question, and I definitely believe that if Shlomo HaMelech HaChacham Michoel Adam tells us Teshua Beroiv Yoetz, that if somebody has to come onto someone, sometimes it could be a gedolei Yisrael, it could be a rabbi, it could be a social worker, it could be an uncle, it could be another shadchan that maybe has a different twist. Definitely not be ashamed and not be there. Each one has to be there for the other. I know that sometimes the shadchan feels like, the shidduch is being taken away from you, especially when he has to share with another shadchan. All of a sudden, it's co-brokering the shidduch with someone else. But the truth of the matter, as we say by us in Latin, ipso facto, there's nothing to be ashamed of. On the contrary, if there is a need to have, if you get stuck and you feel like somebody is going to help you, you never ever lose from having an Eitzah Tova from a friend, an Eitzah Tova from a rabbi, and adarabba. And if it's meant to be, have another person helping you, assisting you if you get stuck. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to tell you a story. I'm talking about stories. I had this boy 9 years ago, a 37-year-old alter bacher. He held a pinkas. He went out with 120 girls from the age of 21. He used to have a diary. He used to write down every single girl, one time, two times, when this. He had a whole booklet of, he moved the computer, he had a program. It was very sophisticated. And he couldn't find the shidduch. The shadchan comes over and she tells him she has a perfect shidduch for him. A girl, excellent girl, this and that. Anyhow, she says the problem is the girl is 31, and the girl said to her that she's masking to listen to a shidduch only if the guy is under 33. If he's a day over 33, bishum panegoifen. She says, how old are you? She says, I'm 37 and a half. He says, you know what? Let's tell the girl, such a beautiful shidduch. Let's tell the girl you're 33 and this. And she says, he says, I feel uncomfortable with it. She tells him, let me take care of it. Anyhow, she went to the girl. She told him. The girl told her, she kept on going out with the guys 2 times, 3 times, 5 times. Anyhow, by the 8th and 9th time, it looks like it was like they're really hitting it off with each other. The girl goes one night, she meets the shadchan, and she tells her, Ani rotza lagid lach mashu echad. This is all in Eretz Yisroel. When I say 33, I mean it. And if you're lying to me, I want to tell you something. And if I find he's 34, a day older than 33 like you told me, I'm going to break the shidduch. And I'm darn serious about it. I'm going to break the shidduch. So I want you to tell me, in yad alalev, put a hand on the heart, and tell me, behen tzedek, that the boy is not a deal. She says, listen, I got the information. I can only tell you what I read from the paper. Paper says 33, but you want, I can reconfirm it again. And yeah, the shadchan comes over, and this and that. She talks to her friend. She says, she'll get it 10 times, this and that. Just tell her he's 33, and that's it. She'll overcome it. It's not a big deal, not a problem. Anyhow, they go out 12 times, 13 times. And before the last time, the boy comes over to the shadchan. He says, I just wanted you to find out if the girl is ready. I want to propose tonight. She said, she went to the girl. She says, are you ready? The girl says, yeah, Amish. You're 33. You promised me. It looks fine. It looks right. It looks this. It looks that. And this and this and that. And yeah, she tells the boy, I just want to tell you, before you're going to propose, the night before, she says, I would like to tell you that this is the hurdle that we have. We're going to have to overcome it. But I consulted with big shadchanim, and they all told me, just keep your mouth shut. Buy her a nice ring, send her beautiful flowers, lovey-doveys, hashmeichel. As they say in Yiddish, the Mädel meint nicht the Ingel, sie meint the Ringel. She wants the ring, she doesn't want the boy. She is interested in going out with the shidduch. Just go ahead and he tells me, I feel so bad about it. And I mamish, how could I lie? He tells me, he comes over to talk to me. I say, you know what? I'm going tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I have an appointment by Baron Leib Shteyman. Rav Shteyman was a gedolei hador. Was after the Tkufa of Shach. We used to go into Rav Shteyman. He looked like a fragile, old, unsophisticated man. He was one of the biggest pikchim that I knew around. Anyhow, I told him, come with me to Rav Shteyman and tell Rav Shteyman your problem and your story and ask him before you go to propose tonight. He says, I have a 6:30 date in Malona Melachim. I said, no problem, we'll be done with it. Rav Shteyman is not going to keep you more than 3 minutes. And I get a phone call from his brother who lives in Ramot. He's a Rosh Kollel. He says, Harav Sorotzkin, תגיד לי, אתה משוגע? אתה לוקח אותו לרב שטיימן? אתה יודע, רב שטיימן יגיד לו שזה וזה, והוא יעשה שקר ואסור, וזה. And my parents are going to be yored ביגון שאולה. אני רוצה להגיד לך, you're so nasty with me. He tells me, אתה תהיה חתום על תעודת הפטירה של אבא שלי ואמא שלי. You're going to be the signer, the co-signer, the underwriter for their death certificate. By you telling him such things to go to Rav Shteyman. I said, listen, in my vast experience over decades, kol hanoitel eitza min hazekenim eino nichshol, Chazal say. If you take an eitza from a zaken, you're not nichshol. So let's go to Rav Shteyman. He says, בשום פנים ואופן אני אוסר עליך, אני אומר לך שאבא שלי אמר לי, שאם אתה תלך אליו, אתה יורד לגהנום ואינו אוילה, you're going up, down to hell. He was a disturbing guy, 37, never found a shidduch. He's going on 120 girl because a stupid girl, Angeret Mishagas, is a couple of years later. So what? Who cares? They love each other. Let them just do it. And then we walk into Rav Shteyman. We come in, and I start telling Rav Shteyman in Yiddish. The boy didn't understand Yiddish, so first I explained him the story. I told him this. So Rav Shteyman closes his eyes. He tells him, "Was ist dein Name?" He says, "What's your name?" He says, "Avi." He says, Avi, אני רוצה להגיד לך. אני רוצה להגיד לך משהו. He says, כל אדם יש לו חסרונות. Every single person has chesronos. There is nobody without chesronos. You can see there's somebody, the girl, the boy is klila milas, flawless. There always are chesronos. You have a big chesron. You're 37. In shidduchim, a boy 37 is a big chesron. So you want to add on to your chesronos another chesron of being a shadchan? You have your chesron already. What do you need another chesron for? You have a chisaron, you are 37 years old. Die darfst nicht zulegen. You don't have to add on another chisaron. Stay with that chisaron that you have and be truthful. He says, let me tell you something. Come tonight to the date. He tells him, "Yesh lecha teudat zehut? Do you have an ID card, like a driver's license?" He says, "Yeah." He pulls it out. He says, "Lifnei she'ata matchil et hapgisha," before you go to the pgisha, don't even start talking to her before proposing, before anything. He says, "Rebbe, I bought flowers. Just leave the flowers in the trunk of the car. You come there, you open your teudat zehut and tell her, I don't know what people told you. I don't know. We know each other for a couple of months. I have no idea what you know, what you don't, but I want to reveal, I know age is a very vital component in your list of demands, and it's benafshech HaDavar. I want you to see how old I am, and thereafter we'll decide if we want to continue or not." He says, "Rebbe, but what's going to be?" He says, "You never lose for being truthful. And I give you a bracha, come to tell me after it's a mazel tov." Anyhow, the guy drives out, he calls up his brother, and his brother calls me. He tells me, I don't want to repeat here the pearls of wisdom which I heard from the brother. He told me how, he says, "You're killing the shidduch b'yadayim, we know it. The girl has a sister-in-law, is a friend with my wife's friend, and she told her that if the guy is 34 on a dead body, she would get divorced after she gets married if she hears. She's so mishugar about the age, ain't happening. What are you doing? Like, what in the world are you doing to my brother?" Anyhow, the bacher is driving to the date. He calls me up from the shaking. He says, "Ani nichnas achshav." I says, "Avi, ma ata holech lasot?" He says, "Ani makshiv larav Steinman. Yesh li teudat zehut." He's like, tells me, "Ani kol haguf sheli ro'ed." My whole body is shaking, but I'm going to do it. Anyhow, he walks into the date. He sits down in front of her. He says, "B'fnei she'anachnu matchilim, ani rak ratziti lagid lach mashu." Pulls out his teudat zehut. He shows it to her. Read it. "I don't know what you know, what you don't know." The girl looks at it. She says, "I want to tell you something. This shadchan, this international matchmaker, everybody goes to her for shidduchim, swore to me, Bazakan shel Muhammad, that you are not a day older than 33. Well, while we were going out, you were telling me some kind of stories. I made the cheshbainis. I came out that you must be at least 35. It's impossible. Because we spoke about history and this, I put one and one together in 35. I didn't know you may be older, but at least 35. I mean, you spilled the beans. You don't even know what you said, but I know you're 35. And I said to myself as follows. It's benafshi HaDavar. It's something to my core. It goes into my... I can't. But if the boy will finish the shidduch and he knows my ultimatum of a day not older than 33, and he'll drive me, come to propose to me without exposing his cards, I'm going to say no when he proposes. But if he's going to be truthful to me, I know being truthful with your partner for life is much more vital and much more substantial than this akshanas of mine, which means very much to me. Once you told me that, and now I see you're 37, I'm willing to accept the flowers. He went to the back of the car, he took the flowers, and they live happy ever after. What I want to say with that, it's a nice story, but what I want to say with that, I said that if the boy would have gone to Shadchanim and to his shadchan, and he would have gone to the girl, let's just analyze the story, all of us together, we all sitting together, analyze the story. And if the boy would have gone, what would have been? The girl would have walked away. He's a shakran, he's a kazvan, there's no shidduch. Okay? His brother is threatening me, his father is making me a signer on the death certificate. Everybody is, Baron Leib told him the vort. You have a chisaron. You already have your chisaron. You don't need additional. You don't have to pat it with a cherry on top of the cream, on top of the cake of your chisaronis. You have it as is. If that's the case, you see that it's not a story about Baron Leib. It's just to show you that sometimes you 100% zicher with your own eyes, with your own vision. Just don't tell him anything. It's a no-brainer. The girl is threatening, and you're in love with each other. Just, and probably statistically, if you would have lied, it would have gone through with another girl. But in this particular shidduch, it wouldn't have, because the girl said, if you are going to be a liar, I'm not marrying a liar. I just want a truthful guy. And this is what brought about. So it's sometimes the Eitzah for somebody above who has a total different vision, is coming from a different dimension, from a different aspect. And that's what wraps up the shidduch. So yes, the answer to your question is yes, get assistance. Could it be a friend? Be another shadchan, somebody is coming from not your set of mind. It could be a rabbi, it could be a social worker, it could be a psychologist, it could be anyone that could assist and help. And you never ever know what will be the final nail in the coffin of this shidduch, l'toiv or l'mutov. I don't want to call it a coffin, I'm saying it sarcastically. To kill the shidduch by thinking you're smarter than the system, or vice versa, to have the shidduch working out MeHashem Yatza HaDavar.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else? We're getting
We
late.
have time for one more?
For one more? One more. We'll do one more.
One more question. Can you share an experience when you felt an especially sense of satisfaction upon completing a shidduch?
My
Even
satisfaction.
though we know it's not you and it's not the shadchan, but you still felt good about it.
Okay, so Michoel, I'll tell you a story with a family member of yours, if you don't mind. It's a story that today it's being published already in some art school books, but since I am the one the story happened with me, so I will tell you the story. Your uncle, I believe your uncle, Rabbi Reisman, is your uncle, is that correct? Okay. Calls me some 22 years ago, and he did not call me actually. Rabbi Foyer, your other uncle, Rabbi from Chaim Foyer, is your other uncle. He calls me, I'm sitting in my house, I was about to leave, and he calls me up and he says, I need a favor from you. I'm here with Rabbi Reisman's daughter. It's a girl who have some special needs, and she needs a shidduch. There's a few kids there, one after the other, and we need your help. Maybe you have an idea. I said, how long are you staying in the country in Israel? He says, we're leaving tonight. I said, next time when you come to Eretz Yisroel, give me a call. It's lunchtime, and
Oh, no, the flight to 11. I don't need to leave yet.
I'm sorry?
The flight to 11. Oh, shoot.
It's 3 hours, so you take off.
I'm sorry?
Trying to see who's not muted.
I can't hear you. I'm hearing someone else.
Okay, I muted her.
Okay. In any event, so he says to me, yeah, but if you know of someone, it's really a big mitzvah, and you're a cousin, we are somehow second cousins, and this and that, and if you know anybody. Anyhow, to make a long story short, I drive out of my house, I come to the entrance to the kiryah where I live, and this nice boy, Moshe, who learns in the yeshiva there, and also a boy with some, very unique, nice boy, and he walks into my car, I give him a hitch to Yerushalayim, I said, Moshe, Michoel, what's the American boy? I said, what's happening with you? Are you in shidduchim? He says, you have to ask my mother. I said, but you were interested in the shidduch? He says, here's my mother's phone number. Anyhow, I drop him off in Yerushalayim. I go to a phone. It was before the cell phones. I go to a payphone. I put a asimoni, and anybody who was in Israel, there's young women here. I don't know if anybody remembers the days he had this asimon, this token. You put into the phone and you make a phone call. And I give a phone call. And I call Moshe's mother, Mrs. Beer. And I said, Mrs. Beer, I just gave a right to Moshe. He's such a lovely boy. You ate by me for Shabbos. Are you into shidduchim? He says, yeah, but we need a special shidduch. I said, you know what? I don't know who, when, but just before I left the house, I got a phone call from Rabbi Foyer about his niece. I don't know too much about her, but he told me, and it sounds like it's worth checking. He says, can I see the girl? I said, when are you ready to see her? He says, in an hour. I said, let me see if I can work. I took my second asimon. I called back Rabbi Foyer. I said, Rabbi Foyer, we have a date. I want you to come with your niece, actually your wife, Luba, to come with your niece and to see Mrs. Beer. She wants to see the girl. I said, yeah, we're leaving tonight. We got to pack up. I said, listen, Rabbi Foyer, you just called me 2 hours ago, and I have this idea. Could you please, with all due respect, go to see him by Vagan? I gave him an address. He says, give us an hour. She's coming with the girl. Anyhow, the girl sat there for 2 hours. Mrs. Beer calls me back. She says, Rabbi Sorotzkin, this is exactly what Moshe needs. Could we set up a date for tonight? I said, let me find out. They have tickets for tonight. I called Rabbi Foyer and I said to him, he says, we got to go back. I said, let me speak to your wife. I speak to Luba. I said, Luba, we have this. He's a lovely boy. I know the boy. You know, it's not an easy task. You know yourself what kind of case we're dealing with. And if they're willing to make a date, let's make a date. Just the girl never went out. So the boy also never went out. Anyhow, they went out that night. Rabbi and Mrs. Forrest stayed for another few days. They went out the next day and the next day. 3 consecutive dates. Well, this is a shidduch that really had to be